Welcome back, travelers, and this time around we have more characters to go over. Chapter 4 is referred to as Ral Zarek. Now, you may remember Ral Zarek as a character that Ugin and Niv were saying was an important player and is trying to save the multiverse. Well, this chapter opens up Ral Zarek unconscious completely, he's completely out of it. And Kaya, who is a ghost assassin, meaning an assassin who kills ghosts, as opposed to a ghost that is an assassin, which would probably be just as cool, if not better, I think. You have Ral Zarek, who was tasked with igniting a beacon. Those lights that Teo saw earlier, Teo was called there, and several other planeswalkers will wind up getting summoned over the course of the novel. But, as we know, Ral Zarek, Kaya, the two of them are guild masters. Guild masters are basically just the leaders of these guilds. You can see I'm wearing a red and white shirt because I am Boros. The Boros Guild is its own entity. There are 10 of them. You may remember from my talk about the Guild Pact novel. The Guild Pact consists of 10 different guilds and their interactions, basically. Well, Ral Zarek is basically trying to figure out a way, to stop Nicol Bolas by basically summoning an army of planeswalkers. So you have Ral, you have Kaya, and they see a person named Lavinia. She's Azorius, which is a blue-white guild. They're basically just bureaucrats and judges, and they're the worst. The Azet are experimenters, scientists, and basically that's the whole thing. And then you have Kaya. Kaya is part of the Orzhov, and the Orzhov are basically a church of mafia people, which is a really interesting idea of some, basically just the most corrupt politicians slash church officials ever invented. They love gold, and they have ghosts. Well, they had ghosts for leaders until Kaya killed them all, and unfortunately took their debts upon herself. Now, as you're going around, you see Lavinia, you see Kaya, you see Ral, but then you see a person named Hikara. Hikara was an acrobat, basic acrobat. Think of Harley Quinn. Hikara is basically Harley Quinn, and she worked for Rakdos, who was a giant flaming-headed demon who loves to put on performances and plays and also torture people, because why not? He's red-black. That's their color combination. Well, they're basically all waking up, realizing, oh snap, everything is terrible, and Hikara's dead. They had one more individual with them, Vraska. Vraska is basically the leader of the Golgari, which are what could be considered to be the garbage men and the farm people of Ravnica. They basically take all the dead stuff and trash, and they turn it into compost, and also corpses, but that's just part of the job. And then they turn them into basically Soylent Green farms, and then they feed it back up to the people in the surface world. Vraska felt like they were being marginalized, which was true, and she fought for equality among them. She's also a pirate. Now, you may remember there was another pirate, being Jace and Vraska. They were pirate buddies, and they went on all sorts of piratey adventures, and they found Treasure Island. So, basically, Vraska apparently, at this point, has betrayed the good guys. And they don't really know why. I don't really know why at this point, because the prequels are where all the fun stuff's happening prior to the story. But that's neither here nor there. That's actually over there. So all this is happening. Everyone's freaking out because something's outside going down. They don't know if it worked entirely, but they think it did. Ral's got some goggles that he just real quick, and then he thought of Tomek. Tomek, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, is basically his partner. And Tomek and him, it's a very touching romantic story kind of thing going there. But Ral is extremely worried that Tomek could be extremely dead, and wants to find him as soon as he can. Ral goes over the fact that, thinking about how Niv had already thought up some plans on how to defeat Nicol Bolas and had failed miserably, and was realizing this was plan B basically, and that it might not be working. B stands for beacon, by the way, not bacon. And so they wind up thinking maybe this won't work. does that mean we'll have to try plan C? And they're like, what's plan C? And they're like, well, maybe, I don't know one yet. And so all these characters, they all kind of just work together, and we see that they're kind of just coming to terms with the fact that Hikara is dead, and that she was actually killed by Lavinia. That's interesting. Lavinia's blue-white, Hikara's red-black. They're naturally at odds, but they were actually pretty good friends as far as the story goes, and apparently Lavinia was taken control of. We don't actually get to see that in the story, but it apparently happened, and we just have to kind of take their word for it. They get upset about, Ral is upset, of course, about the Guild Pact, and they talk about how they need the Guild Pact power. Several times they refer to it as the my word is magical law ability. I found that a little cheesy, but I mean, it kind of sums it up. You may remember that I talked about the Guild Pact, right? Well, the Guild Pact itself is basically this contract, a pact between the guilds, all 10 of them, and they had to agree, and it was several thousand years ago. And eventually, the Guild Pact was shattered uncontrollably in the story. There was basically a bunch of dissension in the ranks, and they all started going at it with each other, trying to kill each other and see who was the best guild of them all. But they needed to balance each other out, and they were failing. So eventually, Niv Mizzet, that dragon that we mentioned earlier, is like, hey guys, there's this maze in the middle of our plane that we didn't even notice was there, but it's been there the entire time. Maybe if we set up a race, we can see who gets to the end of the maze, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have a new guild pact. And so basically you have all these characters vying for power. They were like guild race runners and all this other stuff. Ral was there. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get to be in the middle. Now I'm going to be the guild pact. And all these other guys are trying to like basically just do their thing for their guilds. And in the end, Jace does it. Jace was that smart man that I told you about that does illusions. Well, Jace, the pirate boy, winds up becoming the living guild pact. The original guild pact is completely thrown out the window. And instead, Jace has the ability to literally just be like, stop, and then they have to stop. There's, of course, some limitations. He is law, and so you can't just be like, I'm going to arrest you because I feel like it. You have to have a reason. But you could say, maybe, I don't know, if you're a giant dragon that suddenly does something really disruptive or starts trying to kill people, maybe you could put them on disturbing the peace or stuff like that. It's an idea, and maybe it could work, maybe it won't, I don't know, maybe magic handcuffs don't really work on dragons sometimes, unless you arrest them. You can try. Might work. Good luck with that. I'm not putting any handcuffs on dragons. But the idea basically being that Jace is the living guild pact and is therefore given those kinds of powers. It would take some kind of giant apparatus that could somehow disrupt certain aspects of mana on the plane to maybe ruin that whole setup. But I mean, who's going to have something like that? I don't know. It's not like there's some kind of giant portal that can teleport there or something. I don't know. Well, that is pretty much it for this particular episode. There may or may not have been some spoilers in that last little ramblings I did just now. I guess we'll find out, won't we, in chapter 5, which will be from Liliana Vess's point of view. So that should be interesting because it is Liliana Vess. We do know that she's been taken by Bolas, so I wonder what she's feeling right now, since she was going to be a good guy and is now being forced to be a super bad guy. Until then, travel well.